Hey, folks. Erick Stacklebeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast live stream. Happy Friday. As we head into the weekend, let's face it, we all know it's coming. And what I'm talking about is the next round between Israel and Iran, and perhaps the United States getting involved as well. Look, no one wants to see it, obviously. We're in the dust is still settling from the 12-day war 2 months ago now. Today's August 1st. It was back in mid-June, obviously, where Israel, no other way to put it, humiliated the Iranian regime and severely weakened the regime's military and terror capabilities, and along with the United States, destroyed Iran's key nuclear sites. The Iranian regime is on its heels. It's licking its wounds. And yet, the rhetoric that continues out of Tehran, you would think they won the war. Not that it was an all-time humiliation and embarrassment that left their regime teetering on the brink of collapse and neutered in so many ways. Oh, no. They're talking like they won the war, and they are threatening that there is more to come. Already, in the wake of that war, and we reported on it here on the live stream, they were threatening President Trump's life. Multiple high-ranking Iranian officials threatening to assassinate President Trump. And Bibi Netanyahu, by extension, the Israeli prime minister, threatening to send a drone to kill the president at Mar-a-Lago. These are top Iranian officials. What I'm saying to you is this: they didn't get the memo. Their nuclear program destroyed. 30 of their top Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps generals eliminated. At least 12 of their nuclear scientists, their Oppenheimers, eliminated. And most of that was in the first 24 hours of the war. Their ballistic missiles, their ballistic missile launchers, smashed, a good majority of them. Their economy in free fall. We're talking about the Iranian regime here. They have a water crisis right now in Iran. It's a mess. The Ayatollah, last we heard from the Ayatollah Khamenei, he was in hiding. And he hasn't popped his head out yet. The Mossad, a report from Israel's Mossad earlier this week said, Khamenei spends most of his days sleeping and doing drugs, probably just medicated. He's 86. He's been in bad health. So they're a basket case. They're also demonic and quite evil. The regime, not the Iranian people, the regime. We're actually waiting for the Iranian people to have their say. And that's the prayer, that the Iranian people, a vast majority of whom despise this regime, are able to shake off the yoke of this demonic death cult that's been ruling over them for 46 years. But again, what I just laid out to you paints a very dire picture of the situation on the ground in Iran right now. Again, and yet, they're puffing out their chests and they're saying, bring it on. Bring on round two. Bring on the next war. Now, do they really want that? No. No. Not at this stage. Oh, they want it in the long term. They're going to try to rebuild their nuclear program, are the Ayatollahs. They're going to do it. They're going to try to rebuild their ballistic missile program. They're going to try to rearm their proxies. This is what evil does. And if you watch this channel on a regular basis, you know that I say often, evil is relentless because it's demonically driven. And the demons have nothing else to do all day but to murder, cause mayhem, madness, chaos. Take away the Iranian regime's jihadist, violent ambitions, and what do you have? You don't have an Iranian regime anymore. This is the lifeblood that keeps them going. Jihad, war, murder, mayhem. Whether it's Iran, all of their proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, etc. This is who they are. It's what they do. So don't expect them to stop. The Nazis had to be completely eradicated, devastated, destroyed for them to stop. Ultimately, Iran, its proxies, are going to need to be completely smashed. Iran's regime, I should say. The proxies smashed. So they don't dare rear their heads again and cause any more mischief and mayhem and murder. But in the meantime, that ain't happening. I mean, if the Iranian regime and its proxies, after the events since October 7th, which was their crowning glory, Although really on that day, they signed their own death warrants when they invaded Israel, butchered 1,200 people, dragged hundreds more off into captivity in the bowels of hell beneath Gaza. If they look at what's happened since then, Hezbollah beaten within an inch of its life, Nasrallah killed, the entire Hezbollah leadership taken out by Israel. Same with Hamas, leadership taken out. Same with the Iranian regime. Much of the top dogs' leadership taken out. Their military capabilities smashed. The Houthis have taken some hard lumps. They're still firing, more on that in a minute, but they're eventually going to meet their demise. Assad in Syria, he's gone. I mean, if through all of this, the Iranian regime is still breathing threats and promising more hostility against Israel, then you know that eventually that day will come. And here's how we know. That's why I titled this live stream today, The Next War. Now, I'm going to give you some examples of rhetoric just today from a top Iranian Ayatollah. Folks, you want to hear this, threatening Tel Aviv. Again, have they learned nothing? But evil is relentless, it's arrogant, and evil is also foolish. The Iranian regime checks all three boxes. So we're going to break that down. But another war is inevitable, number one, because of Iran and the way they're acting. Number two, Israel and the U.S. by extension, the whole game changed during that 12-day war. Israel has established complete air supremacy over Iran. Iran's air defense system smashed. Now it's a race to the clock, a race against the clock for the Iranian regime and for Israel, because Iran's going to try to rebolster those air defenses, maybe with help from China or Russia. And Israel's going to say, man, before they do that, we need to kind of mop up any key Iranian sites, military, nuclear, or otherwise, that were not smashed during the 12-day war. We got to take care of them now. We've got a unique window right now where Iran is essentially defenseless in many ways. Let's capitalize on this. So there's a collision course here. And in terms of changing the game and the new reality on the ground, Israel is saying, we're going to use the Lebanon / Hezbollah model here. There's been a ceasefire since November 2024, around Thanksgiving, between Israel and Hezbollah. But Israel's carried out hundreds of strikes in the ensuing months against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hezbollah has dared, whenever Hezbollah has dared to rear its jihadi heads and show signs of rebuilding or troop movements, terrorist movements, whatever, Israel strikes. Zero tolerance. And that's what I think you'll see in Iran. Zero tolerance from Israel for any Iranian rebuilding or rearming. And the U.S. may very well be right alongside Israel in that. But you want to get an idea of where Iran's coming from here and how they're not backing down. I want to break down these comments today at Friday prayers in Tehran. Today, Muslims around the world are in mosques, including in Tehran, and some very fierce comments against Israel and the United States from this top Iranian Ayatollah. That's number one. Number two, have you been following this today? Big news. President Trump is sending 2 nuclear submarines near Russia. He's not playing around. And he's responding. We talk about rhetoric. He's responding to rhetoric and threats from Dmitry Medvedev, the former president of Russia, very close to Vladimir Putin. Trump said, okay, I'll call your bluff. Peace through strength is back. And it's not reckless. It's President Trump saying, hey, Russia, you need a message. I gave you a deadline with Ukraine. You're not heeding it. Putin doesn't want to heed it. Cozying up even more to China, Iran, et cetera. Okay, we'll play that game. So we're going to break that down as well, larger repercussions there. Before we break it down, if you like what you're hearing, it's current events, breaking news, commentary, chiefly on the Middle East and Israel, and all from an unapologetically biblical perspective. And by the way, we hit China, Russia, right here in the U.S., we hit everything. But if you like what you're hearing, be sure to join close to 1.1 million other watchmen and women on the wall and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you here with us every single day. We're coming to you most weekdays. and sometimes on the weekends, depending on the news cycle. But we love what we do. We think it's for such a time as this. And we want to bring you the unvarnished truth again from a biblical perspective, unapologetically so. If you like what you're hearing here, also, Facebook, Instagram, X, we're there. Subscribe, follow me there. And we've got a great nightly TV show on the broadcast side of things every weeknight on TBN, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, with a re-air at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It is called Stacklebeck Tonight. And if you missed the show on TBN, you can catch clips right here on YouTube. We've got a second YouTube channel. I know, hard to believe. It is at Stacklebeck Tonight, the other YouTube channel. And one last note here. This may be the most important thing I share with you today, so listen up. We have a partner for today's live stream, and we partner with Mando Dome frequently. You know this if you watch me on a regular basis. We're talking about Israel, the threat level, Iran's ring of fire surrounding Israel on all sides, Israel waging war on 7 fronts. That's where Mando Dome comes in. They are Israel's emergency services system. They're it. They are Israel's first responders. When there's a terror attack, a missile, an Iranian missile strikes a building, October 7th, a car ramming, stabbing, not only the terror, but if someone's in a car accident, a heart attack, Mando Dome are the first on the ground helping, assisting. They dispatch every ambulance in Israel, every single one, and they collect and distribute Israel's blood supply, not only for civilians, but for the Israel Defense Forces. And it's a largely volunteer force. Imagine that. They're not getting paid for this, folks. 90% of their EMTs, paramedics, and first responders are volunteers. It's SaveLivesIsrael.com to help support them. Look, it's a volunteer organization. They need some funding. They need help. And it's a way to bless Israel. Genesis 12:3, very clear. I'll bless those who bless the nation of Israel. I take that mandate very seriously. And a great way to do that is through Mando Dome. I can't think of a better way. SaveLivesIsrael.com. Look, over 30 volunteers from Mando Dome have been killed since October 7th in the line of duty. Again, they're not getting paid for this. They're doing God's work for their fellow countrymen and women out of the goodness of their hearts. Over 17 of their ambulances have been destroyed in terror attacks since October 7th. But they're risking their necks quite literally on the front lines here. Look, they need more ambulances, bandages, medical supplies, much more. SaveLivesIsrael.com. You ask me, how can I help Israel in its time of greatest need, Eric? I can't get to Israel. I live here. I can't afford to go, whatever. This is the perfect way. Mando Dome is the hands and feet on the ground. SaveLivesIsrael.com. Check them out. And one reason Mando Dome is so important is the consistent streams of threats from the Iranian regime. Here's today what we have. Iranian cleric, here's the headline, from an official, the Tasnim news agency is an official mouthpiece of the Iranian regime. Cleric warns Israel of Iran's fierce response to fresh aggression, meaning the next war. We know it's coming. Tehran's provisional Friday prayers leader, Ayatollah Ahmad Khatami, warned the Zionist regime that any new act of aggression against Iran will draw its decisive reaction. Iran will respond decisively. And they're saying this because, look, they know. They know that Israel, once they see movement, any signs of rebuilding in Iran's nuclear program or ballistic missiles, Israel will probably carry out some airstrikes and take advantage of Iran's lack of air defenses and move the ball further down the field in terms of weakening this regime. And hopefully this will be decided from within at the hands of the Iranian people, but hopefully eventually seeing this wicked regime topple. He was addressing Khatami, this prayer leader, addressing a gathering of worshipers in Tehran on Friday. He said, Iran will not start a war against others. Oh, no? You only finance it, all your proxies, when they launch and start wars, but I digress. He warned Israel that if it takes a new act of aggression against Iran, the Islamic Republic will bring Israel to ruin. He cautioned that Tel Aviv will turn into a, quote, city of ghosts if the Israeli regime dares to attack Iran again. He also noted that the Western liberal democracy was disgraced during the 12-day war of aggression against Iran. Wow, what was this guy watching? It's very interesting. It's beyond delusional. The West was disgraced. The United States was disgraced. They just destroyed your nuclear program. I don't get it. But look, they're reading from a different playbook, obviously. This is propaganda, pure and simple. And preemptive threats, look, they did this before the 12-day war, did Iranian officials. If you dare attack us, we will unleash hell, and et cetera, et cetera. And you saw the result of that. So I don't think their bluster carries any weight at this point. Actually, I know it doesn't with Israel and the United States. And the sad thing is, for years, it did. All these threats, this chest thumping, this boasting from Iran's leaders, and the West cowered. I mean, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Obama actually cut a deal. Biden was clamoring to recut a deal over Iran's nuclear program. France, Germany, Britain, they were all in. Appeasement. Appeasement was the byword before Trump came back into office when it came to Iran. You would almost think, and Iran, obviously, during that 12-day war, my gosh, and even before then, since October 7th, has been exposed as a paper tiger, along with its proxies. But they talked like they were the 800-pound gorilla, the toughest guy in the room. And the West said, oh my gosh, the West weak, woke Western leaders believe them and appeased them and kissed their behinds, quite frankly, and gave them whatever they wanted, billions of dollars in sanctions relief. It goes on. Until Israel and Trump said, wait a minute, we know it's a house of cards. It's a paper tiger. And man, was that exposed during that 12-day war. Yeah, they were able to launch ballistic missiles at Israel. Most of them were intercepted. And number two, that's all they had. That's all they had. And now a good chunk of those missiles and the launchers that would launch them into the air have been destroyed. So this is the ultimate example of the big mouth. It's a bully. It's a bully mentality, a bully with a big mouth. Then you punch the bully. And look, I grew up in Philly. So you punch the bully, the big talker, in the mouth, and all of a sudden they're not so tough, and they're usually not talking so much. So Iran's a unique case because they're still running their mouths. They've been punched badly. You would think they might lay low and say, okay, but the reason, number one, they're demonic. This is what they do, the regime. But number two, they're trying again to preemptively ward off any further attacks. If everyone thought this was one and done, the 12-day war, that's it, we're not going to see anything else for years. It's final. There's a ceasefire. It's done. You probably wouldn't hear Iran talking. But the fact that they know, you know what, they may hit us again, meaning Israel and perhaps the United States. They're trying again to preemptively say, if you do it, we'll unleash hell. We'll launch missiles at Tel Aviv. So we see the game. But the rhetoric is not matched up by any real heft. Look, they caused damage during the 12-day war in Tel Aviv, Haifa, other places in Israel. But the damage they caused was far, far outweighed by the damage they suffered. I mean, the regime nearly collapsed. And if that war went on a few more days, the regime probably would have collapsed. Whether the Iranian people rose up or not, there was a good bet Israel was going to take out Khamenei, the supreme leader, perhaps the president, Pezeshkian, and who knows who else. So they made it out of the 12-day war by the skin of their teeth. Let's just say that. But now I think their strategy, and we've talked about this in a live stream, their strategy, the Ring of Fire strategy failed miserably, right? Their strategy now is to cleave closer to nation states. Where is their stability? Where is their security? Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, ultimately, it wasn't there. At the end of the day, they're terrorist organizations, powerful terrorist organizations, some of the most powerful we've ever seen. But they're not nation states. Gaza, yeah, Hamas controls this coastal strip. Hezbollah controlled southern Lebanon. The Houthis control vast areas of Yemen, which is a mountainous, rugged region, desert, etc. But I mean, we're talking true, long-established nation states. We're talking China, North Korea, Turkey, and Russia. This is who Iran is looking to now. And China, North Korea, Russia are all nuclear armed. To preserve their regime, to deter the US, Israel, they're going to try to draw closer to nation states. I've called China, Iran, Russia, and North Korea the Gathering Storm Coalition. And I look for Iran to deepen those relationships, prophetically as well. That makes a lot of sense, especially with Turkey, Russia. You think of the book of Ezekiel, chapters 38 and 39. So prophetically, an Iran, Russia, Turkey alliance continuing to grow makes a lot of sense. And if Iran, practically, for the Ayatollahs, again, they look around, they say, Hamas, Hezbollah, my gosh, they're a shell of themselves. But Russia, China, Turkey, North Korea, strong, stable, nuclear armed. Let's sidle up next to them. Speaking of Russia, before we go, I mentioned this, the nuclear subs. Folks, what do you think of this? Here we go from Fox News, just reading this straight off my phone. Trump repositions 2 nuclear submarines after highly provocative Russian comments. President Donald Trump announced today that he has ordered 2 nuclear subs to be positioned in the appropriate regions following provocative statements made by former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. Medvedev said earlier this week that Trump's new deadline for Russia to end the conflict with Ukraine is an additional step towards war. And he's basically threatening the United States with war. Trump is playing the ultimatum game, Medvedev said. He should remember that Russia isn't Israel or even Iran. Each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war, not between Russia and Ukraine, but with his own country, the United States. Trump said, okay, really? Here's what Trump wrote today on Truth Social. Based on the highly provocative statements of the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, who is now the deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, very close to Vladimir Putin, I have ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that. Trump said words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences. I hope this will not be one of those instances. Contrast that with the Joe Biden approach, and obviously it's a new day. Peace through strength is back. Trump gave Russia a lot of rope. And now Trump in the past week, the switch flipped. He said, you know what, Putin, you're not going to make a mockery out of me. Here's some deadlines. Oh, Medvedev, you want to play games and make threats of war against us? Okay. 2 can tango. It's peace through strength. It's using leverage, having all the leverage in the world, which the United States has, and Trump is not afraid to use it. So Russia on notice. And it's interesting to me because now this Russia collusion hoax from Trump's first term is being exposed, how leading Democrats were behind it. He's tougher on Russia than anyone we've had since Ronald Reagan. Obama wanted to cut a deal. He said, look, I'll have more. Remember that not hidden camera, but he was captured on live mic saying to Medvedev, when Medvedev was still president, I think it was 2012, hey, I'll have more flexibility after the election. More flexibility to appease you and give you what you want. So it goes on. But let's keep an eye on this, what's happening with Russia, because it's coming to a head. Putin cannot, he's got to save face in Ukraine. He's got to have an exit out of Ukraine where he looks strong and it looks like Russia won. That's the bottom line. So how does he do that? And he's got Trump's deadline staring at him. Trump just shortened the deadline, I believe, to a week, 10 days. It was 50 days. So how does Putin get out of this and save face? Does he double down? Sanctions are going to bite. I mean, Trump is talking about secondary sanctions. So countries who do business with Russia will be sanctioned. He's using the leverage and he's pushing old Vlad against the wall. So where does this go? What do you think? I'd love to get your comments because I'm watching this very closely. The Russia-Ukraine war, I think for a lot of people was kind of an afterthought for a long time. Now the dust is settling from the 12-day war in the Middle East and more people, and Trump is saying ultimatums, you got nuclear subs now. People are starting to watch Russia-Ukraine again. Where's that heading? So we're watching it too. Let me know what you think of that. Keep it in prayer over the weekend. It's a mad world where good is called evil and evil is called good, but God is on the throne. And we're here for you here on the Watchman live stream. So keep it right here. Have a great weekend. If anything breaks over the weekend, we will come to you. So check your notifications. Be sure to subscribe. Until next time, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.